Now, before you down thumb me and walk away, let me explain why I came to this. Metroid Prime series at this point may be synonymous to Samus in first-person gameplay, and yes, this is still very true, except for the best Metroid game being Metroid Prime Pinball. There's also another feature that seems to be synonymous with Metroid Prime title as of late. I'd ask you to guess, but it's in the title already. This is the multiplayer mode. If you think about it, Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime Hunters, and Metroid Prime Federation Force all had multiplayer of some kind. It's only Metroid Prime and Metroid Prime 3 that doesn't have a multiplayer system. And I guess Metroid Prime Pinball. But excluding Pinball, since that game is a massive outlier, there are 3 out of 5 games that features multiplayer. That's more often than not, Metroid Prime games have multiplayer. Metroid Prime 2 features a versus mode, in Metroid Prime Hunters, it features a verse mode again, and in Metroid Prime Federation Force, it features a co-op mode and also a sports mode similar to Rocket League called Blast Ball. Now let's have a look at the 2 out of the 5 games that don't have a multiplayer. Metroid Prime can be explained as it is the very first game, but Metroid Prime 3 just flat out said no to the function, likely because the multiplayer system was a complete failure in Metroid Prime 2 from what I heard. As I said though, that's what I heard at least. I never play Metroid Prime 2 multiplayer mode because you need to have friends to play with. And that's a tall order for someone who owned a GameCube instead of a PlayStation 2 or Xbox back in the day. So here we are, talking about Metroid Prime 2 multiplayer mode. So based on what I heard, Metroid Prime 2 multiplayer mode was never really expected to be good. Apparently Retro didn't even want to add this mode in the first place, but Nintendo HQ pretty much demanded this, and so they had to split the team in 2 just to focus on this mediocre mode to appease the overlords. So that's it for the 2 Metroid Prime games that don't have multiplayer mode. Now let's have a look at Metroid Prime Federation Force again. I personally didn't have fun at all with this game, but that's probably because I was mad salty at the time, that this is the game we got for Metroid after 6 years being dormant, and the co-op mode copying Kingdom Hearts 365/2 days, instead of something like Monster Hunter, which is a tried and true formula. So how is it similar to Kingdom Hearts 365/2 days? Well, you prepare your ammos and whatnot before the game starts, and whatever ammo you start with, that's all there is. But at least Federation Force had a little bit better combat system, being the first person shooter element versus the 3DS Kingdom Hearts game. For that game, it was just spamming the same boring combo over and over again with the Y button, I believe, once you run out of spells, so that was very boring. I used to be a very big Kingdom Hearts fan, but 365/2 days killed my enthusiasm for Kingdom Hearts. But that's aside the point. Going back to Metroid Prime Federation Force, they had to copy possibly the worst 4-player co-op game, which really killed a lot of my joy for the game. And once again, I couldn't play Metroid Prime Federation Force with anyone, because no one in my inner circle of friends even played Metroid games. So I was basically soloing in this game the whole time. Really didn't help with the experience at all. But what about the Blast Ball mode? Well, the puzzles in the main game involving the ball was already clunky and unfun. So I do question, why would the dead think that I want to play a fully fleshed out mode of this terrible mechanic? Man, how they completely missed the mark is beyond me. So why am I asking for this mode if the experience thus far has been mediocre at best? Well, that is because of the one last game, and that is Metroid Prime Hunters. Perhaps it was because I was still a wee little chap at the time, but boy, I had a blast with this game mode. I would always pick Silox because I thought Lockjaw form was hidden OP, or something like that. But that was the one Metroid game where the multiplayer mode was more fun than the single player mode. I mean, granted, the single player experience got stale real quick when you realize the bosses are the same 2 bosses over and over again, but even if the single player experience was lacking, it doesn't mean that I was forced to play the multiplayer mode. Perhaps another thing that made Metroid Prime Hunters multiplayer worked is because of the various hunters and their own attribute that made the experience felt unique. This kind of falls back to the Monster Hunter and what made Monster Hunter felt so fun. The fact that you get a variety of weapon to pick from, and then you get to grind a beast to completely pimp up your character with some really badass gears. Metroid Prime Hunters isn't any of that. You get to play as a unique hero, different to the other players in the match. That was super cool at the time. Metroid Prime Hunters was a hero shooter, before hero shooter subgenre became cool. So with all of that said, let's go back to Metroid Prime 4, and if it should feature a multiplayer mode. I don't think the multiplayer mode should be the only focus of the game. We saw what happened with Metroid Prime Hunters, and it really affected the single player campaign, making it to be a severely mediocre experience. But at the same time, it shouldn't be a last-minute thought that makes the mode completely worthless, which is what everyone testified to in Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. But if you ask me, I think the best way to make this work is to make Metroid Prime 4 have a 2-player co-op story mode. Where Metroid Prime Federation Force failed, I think Metroid Prime 4 can learn from it. Metroid Prime Federation Force mostly failed because of the chibi art style at the time, which wasn't a smart move considering we were in a Metroid drought at the time. And the fact that they had to copy the worst co-op multiplayer game, being Kingdom Hearts 365/2 Days, didn't help its case either. So, Metroid Prime Federation Force was solely designed for co-op play in mind. Metroid Prime 4 campaign should focus on single player first and foremost, but unlike any other Metroid game that came before, it will feature 2 playable characters, with one being none other than Samus, but the other character, why, it should be Kensuke Tanabe's baby, who is confirmed to be the focus of the game, Sylux. The game preferably operates in a tag team-like system, where you play as both, but at any time, you can tag them out for the other because Samus can solve certain puzzles with a beam and morph ball, while Sylux can solve other puzzles that requires his shock coil and lockjaw form. Maybe even make combat that Samus and Sylux can hurt certain enemies that the other cannot. So with that as the foundation, this now opens up the co-op gameplay as an added feature to further enhance the single player campaign. But why would Samus and Sylux be working together? Just the simple story of Samus and Sylux need to work together to survive, or that they are hired for the same mission to save a bunch of people. So now that we've managed to incorporate multiplayer mode into a single player campaign, instead of separating the team to focus on another mode like in Metroid Prime 2, or making multiplayer the main focus like Metroid Prime Hunters and Prime Federation Force, the tag team system allowed the dev to put full focus on what's most important, the single player campaign mode, but also because the foundation has been laid out with the tag team system, a second player can jump in at any time to take full control of one or the other 2 playable characters and work from there. So my ultimate opinion on this matter is that I think a multiplayer mode should be added into Metroid Prime 4. It almost feels like a tradition at this point for Metroid Prime titles to have multiplayer added into it. Granted, most of the mode has been a spectacular failure so far, except for Metroid Prime Hunters, which has its fair shares of problems. But what do you think? Do you think Prime 4 should have multiplayer, or should they just stick with the single player mode and make it damn awesome? Let me know down in the comments below and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.